Welcome back, everyone, to Morning Line. Nick Barris here, along with Tim Takis. He's our elder care attorney. Taking your phone calls if you want to jump in. 737-7587. If you have a question about, it's a broad range of topics he's capable of answering.
Yeah, you know, I was telling a group not too long ago about what elder law was, and I said it's the estate planning of the 21st century. Which I think is because of the fact that baby boomers aging and so many people and because we do estate planning, people are living longer, and more focus is on health care and long-term care as you get older, less focus on estate planning and tax planning, because traditionally estate planning was passing wealth to the one generation to another, you know, minimizing taxes and the other expenses of that, you know, and a lot of the way the law was working is that there are fewer and fewer people that are having estate tax problems. So, but much larger cohort who are, you know, who expect to live for 20 to 25 years after retirement, you know, and how do they do that successfully?
All right, let's see if we can help some folks. Let's go to Jim. Jim, good morning. Hello, Jim.
Yes, Tim, I had a question concerning elder care or nursing home. I've got a mother-in-law who's 96. And she had a fall and broke her leg and went to rehab. Then from there, she went to a senior care facility. She's confined to a wheelchair now, cannot go back to her home. And she gets the highest level of care in this essentially assisted living or senior care facility. They help her bathe, they help her dress, they wheel her down to her meals. My question is that, you know, in the tax code, you get to deduct nursing home expenses. What is the line between where is nursing home starts? I know a lot of people don't like to use that term now. They call it senior care and that type of thing. They have like 4 levels of care, and she's paying the highest level of care in that facility.
And it sounds like, Jim, that your mother is in a assisted living facility, and she's, I don't know if she's memory care or something like that, but say, you know, and I think what Jim is asking is the deductibility, I believe, of assisted living expenses, you know, as healthcare expenses. And I've heard, you know, accountants, you know, and others say that, well, you know, you can't deduct the room and board part, but you can deduct the health care and the service care and
like
whatnot.
Nursing care, if nurses come in to attend to them for something.
You know, and if you're in a nursing facility, you know, then I think the general rule on that is that, you know, you can't really break out room and board. But
meaning it's all together.
It's all together. So if you're paying $7,000 a month for nursing home care, you know, then maybe all of that would be, you know, deductible as a health care expense.
Have you started doing this yet, Jim? I mean, have you paid taxes yet, or how are you handling it, or are you just about to?
She has got, this is the first year now. She has got, you know, interest and dividends that helps pay, and she's paying almost $6,000, $7,000 a month.
Yeah, I was going to say probably that's what she would expect.
She's essentially, in my opinion, just confined pretty much with the level of care she's getting. But it's not listed as a nursing home. But the care she's getting is practically nursing home. They bathe her, they take her to her food. She's confined to a wheelchair. They help dress her. Where, you know, that's my question: is where does that stop and start?
Yeah, and that's where you know the you know, and of course I always say is that it's not my taxes, you know, and so, and I don't provide tax advice to people, you know, even our clients, I might say, you know, talk to your tax preparer, because, you know, that's what they're for.
To figure out what the line is.
But the general rule is that if it's a medical expense, if it's necessary for the what's the formulation? I don't recall offhand, but you know, what I tend to think of is that certainly if you're in a nursing facility, that is a licensed healthcare facility.
So that would be medical.
I mean, that's the way. I mean, nobody goes to, you know, nobody just goes to nursing homes because they want to. They go there because they need to. You know, and I think that the assisted living facilities is the way Jim describes the care that his mother is getting. More and more assisted living facilities are providing the level of care that our nursing homes were providing 5 to 10 years ago. And they are also licensed healthcare facilities.
Okay, and that's just something that hit me listening to him say $7 to $8 grand a month.
Yeah.
Just stop for a second and think about that. Ask yourself what your mortgage is right now. You're not paying $8 grand a month. Most of you aren't anyway. And we're talking close to $100,000 a year.
Yeah, for room and board.
For this kind of care. And I understand the level of care his mother is getting. It sounds to me like it's the gold standard, but I don't know how the vast majority of Americans can even come close to affording what she's getting.
Right, and
is that true?
That is true.
There's a lot of people get by with perhaps not quite the standard that she's at, and they can still get by, but I mean, $8,000 a year. I mean, a home mortgage is a month rather. A home mortgage is a couple $100,000 for people out there, and they're paying that on 15, 30 years.
Right.
She's paying it every year, $100,000.
$100,000, yeah.
Holy, well, how? Yeah. I mean, I don't understand how anyone does that.
I
mean, she does. Maybe she planned for it, but how do you do it?
And as a practical matter, most people don't.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the money. They're living with, maybe they go into a place for short-term care, but they wind up either living at home and not doing well.
Well, but I'm doing the numbers too. I try to put money away, Tim. I mean, even if you have $1 million in a savings account and you go into one of those, it's gone in 10 years.
Right.
$1 million is gone in 10 years.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to live that long, if you're in that bad shape to be in this kind of care. But $1 million bucks, I mean, so I don't care how much you have stashed away unless you're, big time. Well,
right, exactly.
Hey, Jim, how do you pay for this anyway, man? Where does she get the $9 grand a month? Are you there, Jim, still?
Pardon me. Well, first of all, I said it's around $6,000.
Oh, $6,000. Okay, so still, that's a lot of money. That's almost $70,000 a year. I'm just curious, how was she able to set aside and be able to pay for that?
Because her husband and her save money all their life and have dividends and savings coming in plus Social Security, and that pretty well covers it.
Good.
She's not spending her money.
Okay, good. And I hope it lasts for her. She did it, and you set aside and you planned for it.
It's not going to be a long time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I guess in her
96,
situation, she at her age. But he's right. That's what they did, and they did it right, and good for her. It's just hard.
I was reading just not too long ago one of the publications that I get, and they surveyed, I think, some pre-retirees or whatever it was, and they're saying is that more education should be given to people about health care and long-term care when they're retired. Because that sort of retirement education is almost non-existent.
I agree. I think it should even be employed when you're younger to some degree. To think.
Exactly.
You always hear about long-term health care insurance, things like this, and maybe that's not for everyone, but I mean, just understanding, I really don't. I mean, at some point, then you think, okay, where am I going to go if at some point, I need that extra help, or my wife does, or something along those lines.
And as you know, I mean, since I do it for I do it for a living, and I do it every day, and basically we see people, they're living at home, and I think about, like, say, someone like Jim's mother who's 96, and maybe she was living at home up until her early 90s.
Yeah, maybe she...
and here's Jim going, okay, now what do we do? Fortunately, his father passed away, or her husband, leaving her some money, so she's got funds in order to support herself, but still, what's the right level of care for her? Is she paying too much? How long is that money going to last? Is she the fortunate few where she, realistically, she's got enough money to, last until she's 120? All those sorts of things. But the average person isn't like that.
Right.
And it's going to be, I mean, it's going to continue to be a problem in this country.
Yeah, because you wonder where
where's the money going to come from?
Where's it going to come from? And if it's not there, then where do they typically end up?
Right, they wind up living with you.
Yeah, if they have family, or I mean, there's some people that if they don't have anything, what do they end up in a shelter? I mean, what do these poor people?
Well,
end
what
up
they
doing?
wind up doing is they wind up in a, I'll just call it. Home for the Aged that's actually another licensed facility, but maybe an unlicensed facility where somebody takes them in for their Social Security. Okay,
essentially that's how it is. All right, listen, on that note, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take more calls. Brian and others, stay there. The lines are open, 737-7587. And Jim, I guess just to answer his question, as you said, likely much of that could be deducted, but you need to check with your tax consultant and go that route.
Yes.
Listen, let's take a break, and that was a good question. We'll be back with more with Tim right after this.